Hi, I'm Bruce, and for the last 6 months, I've been on a solo motorcycle tour of the Philippines, and I want to share with you my experience of meeting a lot of really nice girls. From this unique experience, I've developed 50 tips on how to meet the kind of girls you want to meet in the Philippines. So subscribe to my channel. You just might meet the girl of your dreams.
Hi everybody. So today I want to talk about the types of girls that you can meet in the Philippines. And then we're going to talk about different categories of girls. So the first category of girl I want to talk about is like the young and naive girl. So there are a lot of girls here that are like 18 to 21 years old. A lot of them are quite immature because honestly, a girl in the Philippines who's like 18 has the mindset of a girl in the West that's like 15. So you have to be aware of that. And there's a lot of girls who are like 18 to 21 who are very naive and don't have a lot of experience, and they just think they're gonna fall in love and live happily ever after. I think you know what I'm talking about. They're just young and naive, and they're the kind of girls that would fall prey to the foreigner who is like telling them that they love them so much and they want to get married. Okay, be really careful with these girls because obviously you don't want to be that guy, right? You don't want to be that guy. So there are a lot of these girls. You might be able to meet them and hang out with them. That's great, but don't make promises that you're not going to keep. Don't take advantage of the fact that they're completely naive and young. So, okay, but that's one group, the young and naive group. Another category is the young and desperate group. Okay, these are girls who are like 18 to 29. They're single moms. They're just looking for someone who can be their life partner, which would include, helping them financially. Because, sometime in the past, maybe when they were 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, they probably got hooked up with some local guy. He got her pregnant. He disappeared, and they're just kind of young and desperate, and they're looking for a foreign guy who can, save them. So there are a lot of these, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with these girls. I mean, if you're looking to save someone, you want to take on that responsibility, well, then cool. Maybe that's for you. So that's a big category because there's a lot of unwed mothers in the Philippines. There's a lot of teen pregnancies in the Philippines. So yeah, that's another category. The young and desperate, 18 to 29, have a kid, looking for a savior. Okay, now there's another category. I would consider this to be a really good category. And I'm gonna say this is like generally 21 to 29. They're just finishing their degree. Maybe they've already finished their degree and they're working, but they're looking for a serious relationship. They haven't had any children yet, and they're looking for someone who's nice and can be their life partner. Okay, that's a good group. Yeah, you might think that they're a little young, and I've heard this criticism before, but I don't think age is that important here. And one of the reasons that people often give for dating someone that's close to your age is that if you date someone that's much younger than you are, then you won't have a lot in common. Well, I've lived in Asia now for 30 years. I just don't see that. I don't buy that. I don't understand it, simply because if you meet a girl who's not your age or that is your age, you won't necessarily have that much culturally in common with them anyway. I mean, I grew up watching Gilligan's Island, okay? No one in Asia watched Gilligan's Island growing up, or The $6 Million Man, okay? Those shows weren't on TV. So the movies that you might watch, or the TV shows that you might watch, or the cultural events that you would have in common with someone that was your age back in the West don't matter here. The age doesn't matter. What matters is compatibility, how well you get along with them. you build that relationship, you build that friendship, and that can be done. That can be done even if the girl is substantially younger than you are. Another group is the jaded group. And I'm going to say these girls are like 18 to 29. They've been single and they've been dating a lot of foreigners. This is not one of my favorite groups to meet and date because they've already been to the rodeo. They know every trick. They're expecting bad things to happen from the beginning. And okay, sometimes you can overcome that with sincerity, but they're just going to assume that you have bad intentions because they've met so many foreigners coming and going, and all of those guys burned them. The jaded group is also the most likely to try to hit you up for money, to try and just get free dinners off of you, things like that. So that's another reason to avoid them. They probably often have bad intentions themselves because, they've had to deal with a lot of foreigners in the past, and they just figure, well, if the foreigners are gonna be jerks, then I can be a jerk too. So, okay, the jaded group, I would try to avoid. And how can you tell the jaded group? Well, it's not easy, but you can tell by talking to them and finding out how many foreign guys they dated in the past, how long they've been on the dating sites, things like that. If they automatically revert to WhatsApp, then that probably means they they talk to a lot of foreign guys, because if they tell you to join their Facebook, that's they don't probably have a lot of experience with foreign guys. But if they go to WhatsApp right off the bat, or Telegram, or Snapchat, they're going to be in that category. There are a lot of single mothers, and we talked about how young single mothers, there are so many women in their 30s who are separated because divorce is illegal here and you have to get an annulment and it's expensive and it takes time. Or they were never married and they have children and they're in their 30s. Most of them that you'll end up meeting don't have good jobs and they're looking for some kind of supporter or savior. But there are women too who have decent jobs. They're just harder to find. But there are so many women here that have children and are in their 30s. They would love to find a foreign boyfriend and or husband. If you are very happy to meet a 30-plus-year-old single mom, then literally you would have women lining up around the block. There are a lot of these women. And I want you to remember one thing about women in the Philippines, and that's that if they have children, they may or may not live with them. It's common in Asia for women who are working to have their child or children living with her parents so that she can work and earn money. And so if you're getting in a relationship with a single mom, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have children with you when you start this relationship. Something you're going to have to discuss long term, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have children with you right away. So that's something to consider. Now, for me, the unicorn, they're there, but I haven't been that successful in meeting them, would be women who are 27 plus years old. They've got a good education and a good job, and they don't have children, and they've never been married. People in the Philippines tend to get married pretty young. Most of them in their early 20s, although that is changing. But, if you can find a woman who is 27 or above in her 30s and, she doesn't have children and she's got a good education and she's got a good job, well, yeah, that's a unicorn. Capture her. Okay, one more thing I want to add at the last minute, and that's that girls in the Philippines tend to be thicker. They can be very thin when they're young, but generally when they hit 25, 30, they get pretty thick. I mean, it's not typically Asian for that reason. So, just to let you know, if you like the thin girls, yeah, it's not easy. It's not impossible, but not easy to find them. But most of the girls here are a little bit thicker. Just letting you know. Okay, guys, this is a really important rule. You've got to remember this rule. Just make this your personal rule. Under no circumstances should you ever send money to anyone that you've never met face to face personally. Okay? So if they start asking for loads so they can do video call, or, oh, I want to meet you, but you have to pay for my transportation to get them. No. Just say no. Don't do it. Offer to meet them wherever they are. Tell them video call isn't that important right now, whatever. But never, ever send money to someone that you've never met. First of all, there's at least a 50% chance. First of all, there's like a 50% chance that that's some Pakistani dude who isn't even a Filipina hitting you up for money. Next, if you start giving girls a lot of money and gifts before you've even met them, or even after you've met them, they're going to see you as an ATM and they're not going to respect you. So just remember that very important rule, okay? Okay, those are some general ideas about the categories of women in the Philippines, all just my opinion from my personal experience. If you have other ideas, you have other categories, leave them in the comments. Love to hear them, because I'm certainly not 100% an expert on this. I think I know a lot about what I'm talking about, but I'm sure there are other guys who have different opinions, and I'd love to hear from those. So yeah, leave some comments, and thank you.
So join me on this adventure. Let's go.